What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. How's it going? If you're new here, my name is Bailey Canning. I'm an independent digital marketing strategist. On today's video, we're going to be talking all about the steps you can take to turn your website into a lead generation machine. I'll be walking you through all the key areas you need to make sure are optimized on your website so it can consistently generate leads, help you sign your ideal clients, and ultimately enable your company to increase revenues and achieve any business goals it has. And if you stick around to the end of this video, I'll be detailing a new tool I've been using with my clients that has dramatically increased the amount of leads we're getting. Honestly, I see a lot more companies adopting this very shortly, but if you can get in on this now, it can definitely give your company a big competitive advantage and significantly increase the lead generation potential of your website. So you're definitely not going to want to miss that. Quick little bit of housekeeping before we get into all that. If you like the topic of this video and you want to learn more about marketing, web design, branding going forward, definitely subscribe to my channel because I'm putting out anywhere between 1 to 2 videos per week. And if you get some value out of this video, would appreciate you liking it. And if you really got a lot of value out of it and think that someone in your network could benefit from the type of information I'm talking about here, then definitely feel free to send it to them as well, because this is what really helps the channel grow in the long run. First, talk about why you need to be focusing on your website in the first place. Long story short, any online marketing strategy you're pursuing, even offline marketing strategies such as going to networking events, ultimately at the end of the day, the conversion event is going to be taking place on your website. And that is ultimately why you need to have a great online presence and a website that is optimized for actually getting conversions. When you think about all the different marketing channels to focus on online, whether we're talking about paid ads with Meta or Google ads, whether we're talking about trying to rank on Google and other search engines to drive organic traffic to the website, whether we're doing a lot of email marketing to people that already know about your company and you're trying to get them back onto the website, or whether you're producing a lot of content either on YouTube or podcasts or any other channel, basically you're always going to be driving them back to the website to fill out a form and book that first time consultation, or to take some other action oriented event on the website. And that is ultimately why you really need to focus on your website and invest in your website and continuously work on optimizing and adding new features to the website and things of that nature, because ultimately every conversion action is going to take place on the website. And if you haven't taken the time to properly optimize your website for all the different online and offline marketing channels your company's pursuing, you're ultimately going to be hampering yourself at every step of the way. Your website is the foundation of your company's entire online marketing strategy. That's why when I first work with clients, we either will do a quick brand refresh or complete rebrand if necessary, and then we'll work on usually redesigning their website, just because you really need to get that foundation right before you can think about driving traffic or generating leads through some other marketing or sales strategy. To give you a bit of a visual analogy, you can essentially think of your company's website as the sun, and then all the different marketing channels it might be pursuing, whether SEO, paid traffic, email marketing, content production, etc. You can think of that as the planets in the solar system that revolve around the sun. And while you may have different marketing strategies out here trying to attract traffic and all that type of stuff, ultimately everything is coming back to the center, which is the website, the foundation of your entire online marketing strategy. And that is why it's so important, no matter what you're doing online, to have a really great website that's going to have great design and be optimized for everything you're going to be doing marketing wise. Last point on this topic, having a great website that features great design, great copy, and a solid technical infrastructure is going to make all the different marketing strategies your company is focusing on much easier. So for example, when it comes to SEO, the technical infrastructure of your website and the speed of it especially is going to make a huge difference for its ranking. When we think about online advertising, how fast your website is able to load and how good it looks, especially on mobile these days, it's going to be super important for being able to generate leads and conversions from those ads. How well thought out the layout and content structure is going to be super important for getting people to fill out a form and take that first step, which could be booking a consultation, or just leaving your email address and subscribing to your email newsletter so that way you can follow up with them with marketing content. All right, so the first step to take to actually transform your website into the ultimate marketing machine is going to be able to take a quick step back and actually think about your intended audience and what their needs and desires are, what their pain points are, what's the problem they're trying to solve, and ultimately put your company in their shoes, in your prospective client's shoes, and think about what types of content, what types of information, what types of resources, what can you provide them to make their life easier and ultimately position your company as the go-to solution provider to their problems. Honestly, you would be surprised how many companies completely skip this step and then always wonder why their marketing is never producing the results they're truly after. And ultimately, if you take the time to actually think about your ideal clients and what their needs, problems, and desires are, everything else we're going to be talking about here when it comes to thinking about what content should every page have on the website, where should we be trying to reach people online, what would a really good offer look like to book consultations right off the bat, all these things are super important. And if you actually take the time to map out what's the demographic info about these people, what are their wants and aspirations, what are their fears and desires of hiring a company like yours, and what do they ultimately want to achieve? What's the main problem they're looking to solve? These things will make it so much easier to plan out a marketing strategy ahead of time and ultimately give you a huge competitive advantage going forward. For example, on this YouTube channel, the primarily people I'm looking to create content for is 1, in-house marketing directors of large professional service companies, and 2, small business owners / entrepreneurs. Those are my 2 primary audiences because those in the marketing and web design and branding work I do for clients, those are generally either the decision maker or the main client point of contact I work with. Before I started really consistently creating content on this YouTube channel, I took the time to map out exactly what types of information would these people be looking for, what type of resources can I provide them, what do their demographics look like, what types of goals are they trying to achieve within their company, all that type of stuff, which has made now planning out video topics so much easier because I know exactly what to talk about. This is something I help all my clients with, usually when we're first getting started on a marketing or website project. We'll map out client avatars based loosely on the digital marketer customer avatar canvas, which I think is a really good starting point. You can just Google to find out more about it. It'll basically help you map out client avatars. But long story short, taking this first initial step will make everything we're going to be talking about so much easier and ultimately give you a huge competitive advantage because, like I said at the start, a lot of companies, believe it or not, never stop to think, who are we trying to reach? How are we going to help them? What are their problems? What can we do to solve them? Instead, they're always just thinking about themselves and then going right to the fun part of, hey, let's do some Facebook ads or something like that. So really taking a step out, I cannot stress the importance of it enough. Now, once you have a solid understanding of who the website is for and what types of people are going to be visiting it, then it's time to invest in a high-end designed website that's going to feature really premium branding and that's ultimately going to establish your company as a high-end professional service provider, which will allow it to command premium prices in the marketplace. The reason why I'm saying that you need to invest in a high-end website is not to fulfill some sort of creative ideal or to get your company involved in some sort of 6-month esoteric art project. The reason why, and this is backed up by a recent McKinsey study, they created a benchmark where essentially they were able to objectively measure the design of companies' websites and then rank them accordingly. They found that companies that scored in the top quartile, so top 25%, of that study were 2 times likely to increase revenues and provide returns to shareholders than companies that were in the bottom 75%. So I think that essentially will tell you all about the importance of design when it comes to business. And I think this is especially important for professional service providers, so architects, lawyers, accountants, interior designers, engineers, etc., all those types of companies, because if you want to be charging high-end prices, which you should be, because basically if you were to try to corner the low end of the market, that's going to be a race to the bottom that is really not going to get your company anywhere towards its goals financially or impact-wise. And also, your company's website is essentially its online brand. So if you don't have a well-designed website, then your online brand is not going to be attractive to clients and they're going to start shopping around for other options in the local area. Now, once your company has design locked down on its website, the next step is to focus on the copy. Because ultimately, while pretty websites might get people's attention and get them engaged and want to actually stick around and check out the website, ultimately, it's going to be the words that convince them to take action, and it's ultimately the words that are going to do the selling on the website. That is why it's super important to have great professionally written copy, which is something that I do for all my clients. I handle writing all the copy, which is one, great for them because one, it takes a huge burden off of them because then they're now responsible for writing the copy. And honestly, if you've been involved in these website projects, that getting the content can be one of the main things that ultimately holds back the project and delays its timeline. But then secondly, the client really should not be writing the copy from scratch. Obviously, they can have input and make edits once the first initial draft has been delivered. But really, I think it's far more helpful to, one, have professional copywriters writing the copy on the website versus people who do not have that experience, because they're probably not going to be the next David Ogilvy or something right off the bat. Too many times I find with the work I do with my clients, it actually helps them to have an outside person writing the copy, and then they can edit it from there, because that different perspective is ultimately going to lead to have better copy in my experience. So yeah, the design is super critical. You cannot ignore the importance of copy. Honestly, in a perfect world, you'd love to have a beautiful website, and you'd also love to have really amazing copy. But if you could only choose one, quite frankly, you'd be much better off with a very standard, generic-looking website that features excellent copy than a great design website that has won a ton of awards and all that type of stuff, but its copy is just a complete miss and just fails to produce business results. Real quick, if you're getting a lot of value out of this video and you'd like to pick my brain on your company's marketing strategy, definitely feel free to book a free strategy call. Link in the description. You can book time directly on my calendar. It's essentially a 30-minute conversation. I'll take the time to learn about your company's marketing and sales goal and provide you with an action-oriented game plan to ultimately achieve those goals. Link in the description if you want to schedule that meeting. All right, so now we're actually starting to talk about some marketing tactics you can pursue. This is in the order I would prioritize if your company is really just at a moment in time where it's either reevaluating its entire strategy and looking to refocus on only a key few channels, or if you're a new service-based business looking to get started with a marketing strategy that's actually going to deliver return on investment in a reasonable time frame. So the first thing I would start focusing on is SEO, or search engine optimization. And there's a lot to be said about this, but basically from a business standpoint, all I'm going to say right now is that essentially SEO is going to allow your company to get found as its ideal prospects in the local market begin to search for terms and services that your business offers. And the reason why I'd recommend focusing on that to start is because you're essentially going to be going after the bottom of the funnel. Essentially, these are people that are in the market for your company's services in the next week or two, or within the next month, certainly within the next quarter. And ultimately, if you're looking to get a fast return on investment from the work you're doing on your company's marketing, then it's obvious that it makes sense to start here. Also, the traffic you'll be getting from SEO versus things like digital ads, which we'll be talking about in a second, is generally speaking going to be of higher quality. We see this in a lot of different website metrics, such as just how much more time people from organic search generally spend on websites than people from other traffic channels. That's because they're actually in market for your company's services, and that's because they're actually looking to make a purchase decision. And so basically, I think it's a no-brainer to start focusing on this bottom of the funnel segment, because then once you're already starting to generate a couple leads per month and you've got some momentum, then you can look at doing broader based advertising to start to fill up your sales funnel even more. The next thing worth talking about is content production. This also goes hand in hand with SEO, because any content you produce, whether we're talking about YouTube videos like this, whether we're talking about podcasts, which get distributed obviously on different podcast feeds, or blog articles, which I will talk about in a second, because I have a contrarian opinion on that topic at the moment. Whatever content you're producing should be getting published onto your website as well, because that's what's going to allow the website to rank for all the different SEO keywords you're going to ultimately need to start driving a high amount of traffic month after month. Now, other than the SEO benefits, the main reason why your company needs to be investing in some sort of content marketing strategy is because content is what is needed to get found online today. And especially, I think video content is the best content, because video content especially is what allows you to, one, make a really strong personal connection with your ideal prospects, two, provide them with a lot of value, because there's ways you can use visuals to illustrate the topics you're discussing. And also, video is just very engaging to the human mind, so you've actually got a solid chance of having your prospective client stick around and watching your whole video, as long as you're actually providing good information. And then from a sales perspective, video is just going to be the best format for ultimately getting people to know and trust you, which is really what all marketing is about at the end of the day. Video is just such a personal medium where you can watch 10 YouTube videos of someone and then feel like you know them, and then by the time prospective client is ready to make that buying decision, they're going to go to you because they feel like they already know you, and you've given them so much upfront value that you're just the undisputable guide. In terms of what content to produce, so I would recommend video, number one, because first of all, it's just the best medium overall in terms of engagement, in terms of building trust. Really, when we think about that know, like, trust factor, video by far is the best. Also, it has an immense amount of repurposability. So basically from this one video, you can take the full video, you can put it on YouTube. Then you could also take the transcript and make a blog post out of it using something like ChatGPT. And then you can also clip out key segments of every video and then use that to fuel a social media marketing strategy, whether you're going to be on Instagram, whether you're going to be on LinkedIn, wherever your audience is. You can then, from one piece of video content that might take you like an hour to make, you can then basically fill out your entire week's worth of content calendar from there. Podcasts are also a great medium. I used to have a podcast. I'm doing more interviews on the YouTube channel now. I'd highly recommend looking at as more of a networking strategy, especially if it's going to be a guest-driven show. Podcasts are great because they're also super engaging. They can also be videos where you put them on YouTube, but then there's also an audio component that goes on the audio feeds. Podcasts are also excellent at getting people to know and trust you. And then there's also a whole content funnel that you can spin out from there to consistently create content on your company's website, and as well as different social media channels. If you're interested in starting a podcast, I'll soon be releasing a video detailing how I would go about starting a podcast based on what I learned from 2 years ago. So there's an entire marketing and networking strategy that will be found in that video. Lastly, when it comes to blog posts, quite frankly, at this point in time, I'm recording this right at the end of 2023, I would avoid pursuing a blogging strategy. Blogging, while it was great back in like 2012, now with the rise of ChatGPT, there's just so much low to medium grade blog content out there that I think people in the next year or two are really going to start to tune it out. They're not going to be able to trust a written word as much as they used to. There was a recent study I saw that showed that it's projected by 2026, 95% of all written content is going to be AI generated. Quite frankly, I think unless you are like Hemingway or Shakespeare and you are a great writer, then there's certainly a use case for it. But otherwise, unless you're a prolific writer that really enjoys it and that already has some sort of online following they can leverage from a different channel, whether that's like LinkedIn or Medium or something like that, I'd really avoid blogging. At this point, if you're following along with everything I've recommended here so far, you'll have a strong understanding of your audience, you'll have a beautiful website, you'll have awesome sales-focused copy, you'll be getting traffic from organic search, and you'll be consistently producing content and getting eyeballs on your company on various different online marketing channels. If you're doing that consistently for anywhere between 1 to 2 quarters, by that time, you should be getting pretty solid traction on various different marketing channels, but you should also be seeing a difference in the amount of leads that are being generated and hopefully the amount of sales you're able to close. With that increased revenue, I would then take that money and start investing in digital advertising. So this is things such as Google ads, Meta ads, which are Facebook and Instagram, maybe even YouTube or something. But those are the primary ad channels I would look to focus on, because going back to the funnel analogy, at this point you've focused already on that bottom of the funnel. Now it's time to start filling up that funnel and start going to the medium and top of the funnel. And what that means is like growing the awareness of your company, because people can't do business with your company if they don't know about it. And the best way to get them to know about it is going to be with digital advertising, because ultimately the point of these Meta ads and Google ads is just to get traffic to your website. Because say, for example, you have a 5% conversion rate on your website. That means out of every 100 people that visit, 5 people convert into a lead. If you can now get 500 people onto your website, then if we assume that the conversion rate stays the same, you're going to generate 25 leads. Essentially, you'll 5x your leads. So then the question becomes, how do we get more traffic to the website? And the answer simply is that you can just go to the traffic store, which is in this case Meta or Google, and then you can pay for more traffic of your ideal audience. Now, there's a lot to be said about digital advertising. I'm running ads for lots of my clients, so I'm sure eventually I'll put together some videos on all the different ad channels I just talked about. But if you're a local service-based business, I would first start on Google ads, because again, Google ads allow you to target the bottom of the funnel and start getting to the top of the search results whenever people search for services that your business offers and they're also within your local area. Then once you've maxed out how much you're getting out of Google ads, then I would look to do some sort of Meta ads on either Facebook or Instagram to grow the awareness and also just retarget the people that are clicking onto your Google ads and try to get the sale at a different later touch point. All right, and so the last thing I'm going to talk about, this is a little bit of a bonus tip for you for staying around in the video this long. Basically, when we're talking about generating conversions on the website, we're basically talking about people going to the contact page or the consultation page and filling out a very generic looking form that basically all the websites have essentially the same form with the same form fields. Hey, what's your name? What's your email? Blah, blah, blah. What I have found in the work I'm doing for my clients, what has been much more effective is to use a tool called VideoAsk, where essentially you can build out customizable video-based forms. I think these are way more engaging, they're way more interesting, and the more people you can get to engage with your form, ultimately the more people that are going to fill out that form. But I think it just gives the companies a huge competitive advantage because it puts a face to the name, it adds a premium brand experience online, and it also integrates with other tools such as Calendly, for example. So a prospect could fill out your initial consultation form and then they can be redirected to a booking page right away. That is something I would also recommend to increase the lead generation effectiveness of your website, is allow for some sort of online booking so that the prospect can automatically schedule that first time appointment, because otherwise then you're going to have to follow up with them via email, maybe they filled out the form on a Friday, you don't get back to it on a Monday, and then all the momentum is lost. I'd really recommend using the VideoAsk form because I'm seeing a lot of really great results with that with the clients I'm using. I'm also going to be implementing that in my own business soon, so I talk the talk here. Basically, the less friction there is in the entire sales process, the more likely people are actually going to be able to go through that entire process. So hopefully this video has given you a good idea of how you can leverage your website to generate leads. Ultimately, everything we talked about here is going to ensure your website is dialed in from a content, design, and copy perspective. And then ultimately, once you've got that done, then you can look to pursue different types of online marketing strategies, whether it's SEO, whether it's paid traffic, etc., to start to get eyeballs onto the website. Because ultimately, you can have the most amazing, the most beautiful website in the world, but if you don't have a really consistent way of getting people to that website, then ultimately it's like the website doesn't even exist and it's not going to be able to produce business results for your company. So again, hopefully you found that helpful. Definitely like the video if you did. Send it to someone in your network if you know of a business owner or marketing director that could also benefit from it. And subscribe to my channel because I'm putting out videos just like this 1 to 2 times per week, all about how to grow your business. And finally, last but certainly not least, if you would like to pick my brain on your company's current marketing strategy and get my perspective on what I would do if I was in your shoes, then definitely feel free to book a free strategy call with me. Link is in the description where you can basically book time right on my calendar like I just recommended you do. And yeah, it'll be a very casual, very friendly 30-minute conversation. I will take the time to learn about your company and provide you with actionable next steps that can essentially serve as a game plan to turn your company's online marketing strategy around. Link in the description. You can book time directly on my calendar. Until then, I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.